Hey everyone, welcome back for our deep dive into Adam Grant's Hidden Potential. You guys have requested this one, and we're excited to unpack it.
Yeah, this is a good one. And you know what I think the thing that's really cool about this book is it kind of changes how we think about
Totally.
that feeling
Yeah.
when you kind of reach like a plateau,
Mm-hmm.
you've learned something new and you're like, okay, I got this. But where do you go from there? And Grant, he calls that being a plateaued learner, which I love because it doesn't mean you're stuck.
Right.
It's actually the opposite.
It's like a launch pad.
It is. It's like you're about to like rocket off to something new.
Yeah, or like you've just nailed this, this really complicated recipe,
Okay.
and you could keep making that same recipe over and over, but you've mastered it. Now you can use those skills to tackle like a whole new cuisine.
Exactly. And what's so interesting is Grant's research actually found that this whole plateaued learner idea,
Oh.
it's actually connected to career growth.
Mm.
Like those people who are willing to jump into something new, even when they're a little intimidated by it, they actually end up in jobs they love.
Yeah.
Their careers take off.
Okay, that makes so much sense. I mean, think about it. When I first started podcasting, I was terrified of messing up. Sounding silly, the works.
Sure.
But looking back, it was those moments, like those what was I thinking? Moments that were actually my biggest learning curves.
And you know what? That ties into another really important thing that Grant talks about, original thinking.
Okay.
He says, if we want to come up with those truly innovative ideas, we have to be open to experimenting, even if it means we might stumble a little bit along the way.
It's so
And his research actually shows that people who prioritize learning from their mistakes over, trying to get it perfect every time, those are the people whose careers really take off.
That's powerful. And it reminds me of that quote, the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it's too low and we reach it. Like we have to be willing to aim high, even if it means we don't know exactly what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid of the unknown. And that actually leads us to another really crucial point, uncertainty.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Because so much of what holds us back is that fear of the unknown, right? But Grant's saying that's where the magic happens. So how do we wrap our heads around that?
I think it's about shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing uncertainty as something to avoid, we can reframe it as an opportunity. It's about that growth mindset,
Yeah.
that openness to learn and adapt.
Instead of associating uncertainty with all those negative things, but it's also where creativity lives.
Exactly. It's where innovation comes from.
Yeah.
And speaking of fresh perspectives, let's dive into another key takeaway from Hidden Potential, the importance of surrounding yourself with diverse viewpoints.
Okay, let's do it. It's like they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Totally.
We need those outside voices to kind of shake things up, challenge our thinking.
It's so important. And Grant actually gives a really cool example of this in the book. It's about this furniture company
Yeah?
that was really struggling to innovate.
Yeah.
And they were trying to figure out, how do we come up with some fresh ideas?
Did they bring in a bunch of furniture critics or something?
You know what they didn't? They actually brought in people from totally different fields.
Yeah.
Like they invited poets and artists,
Really?
even a comedian,
Wow.
to get their perspectives on furniture.
Okay, so talk about diverse viewpoints.
Exactly.
Did it work?
It totally did.
Yeah.
It ended up leading to their most successful product line ever.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I love that because it's so true. Sometimes those outside the box ideas are the ones that really make a difference.
It's about being open to those different perspectives
Mm.
because you never know where that next great idea is going to come from.
Okay, so we've got these 3 awesome insights from Hidden Potential, right? We've got becoming a plateaued learner, embracing uncertainty,
Yeah.
and then seeking out those diverse perspectives. But how do we actually make those things stick? Because it's so easy to read a book and get all fired up, but then life happens and we kind of fall back into our old ways.
That's why I think taking action is so key.
Totally.
It's not enough to just understand these concepts. We have to actually apply them.
Love it. So let's talk action steps. Where do we even begin?
How about a challenge for our listeners this week?
Ooh, I love a good challenge. Hit me with it.
All right, so this week I challenge you to try something you've always wanted to do, but you've been too afraid to try.
Okay.
Maybe it's something small, maybe it's something big,
Yeah.
like signing up for that pottery class you've been thinking about, or finally having that difficult conversation you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Anything that makes you a little uneasy. Because that discomfort often means there's an opportunity for growth.
I am here for pushing those comfort zones. It is amazing what we can achieve when we kind of face those fears head on, you know?
Absolutely.
And to kind of build on that whole plateaued learner thing, what if we challenged our listeners to set aside a little time each day, even just like 15 minutes, to learn a new skill?
That's a great idea.
It could be anything, like researching courses online, picking up a new book, listening to a podcast, or even reaching out to someone you admire and just asking for advice.
I love that. It doesn't have to be this huge time commitment. But even those little things, if you do them consistently, they can make a real difference.
Absolutely. Little steps, big results.
Mm.
Okay, now for our final action step. How can our listeners actively seek out those diverse perspectives?
This might sound really simple, but make a conscious effort this week to connect with someone you wouldn't normally talk to. It could be someone at work from a different department, or someone at the gym, or someone with totally different political views than you. You get the idea. Just strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
You never know where it might lead.
So true. Sometimes the most eye-opening conversations come from those unexpected encounters.
Exactly.
Well, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground today. From becoming plateaued learners to embracing uncertainty and the power of diverse perspectives, Adam Grant's hidden potential is jam-packed with wisdom.
It really is. But, it's one thing to understand these concepts, but it's another thing entirely to actually live them.
So true. It's not enough to just listen. We have to take action.
Exactly.
So to kind of keep those mental wheels turning, here are 2 questions we want you to ponder this week. First, think back to a time when you surprised yourself by achieving something you didn't think was possible.
Ooh, good one.
What factors contributed to your success? Were any of these mindsets at play?
And second, how can you apply one or all 3 of these insights from hidden potential to a challenge that you're facing right now? It could be at work, it could be in your personal life.
Such a good question. Because remember, unlocking your hidden potential, it's a journey, not a destination.
That's an ongoing process.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep believing in the power of your own potential. Until next time, happy learning.